Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics, mainly about spirituality, introspection, dream interpretation from time to time, answering different questions on Quora when I feel ready, and other similar topics including video games, let's say, understanding video games from a spiritual perspective, seeing video games as another way of experiencing life in the name of consciousness, and I have a series of videos on that. A few videos about my video game that I'm working on, which I usually place more attention, and one of the reasons why I play much less nowadays. But the point about this is this video I will try to create a let's call it a little guide on the Lost Vikings, because I have actually been surprised. I've received a few comments on one of my, or actually two of my uploaded Lost Viking casual games, okay, and I tend to remind people that I really don't want to play ranked, not because I couldn't, but or because the salt would actually pull me down. It's not gonna work against me, but the simple point is that I don't want to be competitive again, okay. Like, I'd rather focus on other projects that I have, and spend some time gaming a bit, just for fun, because this is also a part of my spiritual training, embracing things the way they are instead of letting the game play me instead. So one thing that I have been doing with the Lost Vikings is I've been playing them since beta, but I'm just level 48 with them, because like I took up 3 or I think 4 maybe more years of break. I've played once or twice in the meantime, but just a few games, and most likely not necessarily with the Vikings. And one thing that I would do was going to the collection, okay, and at the collection I would go to heroes. Now they're classified as support, and I'd go to the Lost Vikings, and let's see, I would actually hit try, because the way they made this is much better, okay. This is a kind of champion that you don't necessarily get into games against players or even against bots directly without some knowledge of the traits, because the mechanic that they have, as of my point, makes them the most intricate character in the game. I don't know if they would be the most difficult, but I would call them the most intricate in a way. Okay, just like other champions like Abathur, even Medivh I'd call a bit intricate for some reason. I mean, the plays he can make. And also Stukov, yeah, I think Stukov. Okay, so the talent discussion that I would like to present is, let's actually take them by level, and usually I would focus on spy games, and I would try to learn how to use this as much as possible. So when you choose this, spy games allows you to keep Eric still, and you will see that he becomes somewhat invisible if he stays still for 3 seconds, and his sight radius is indeed increased by a lot, okay. Now the stealth persists for 3 seconds even after moving, okay, and it is removed after those 3 seconds, or if Eric happens to attack, okay. So Eric gains 75% bonus basic damage, okay, attack damage, for 6 seconds after this stealth is removed. So let's actually see it, okay. You can see that orange bar above him, okay. So 75% attack damage. Now let's actually select Eric, and so 67 attack really ain't that bad, I mean. And yes, I know with the Vikings you can actually deal a lot of damage against certain tanks, tanks that usually don't deal too much damage, or if the players are silly enough to focus only on Olaf. Now the point about this is, if you attack like this, okay, your damage is gonna be something like this. I want to do this so that players don't have to necessarily do that and just watch the numbers how they grow and make the comparison alone. So Now you can see the damage is the numbers are going up a bit, and they're kind of
killing blow.
okay. Now let's actually show commands again and set level. Let's set it back to 1.
Choose a talent.
And if you want to go for a tanky option, you could actually go for Olaf the Stout, which gives him 20% maximum health, which is a new aspect, okay? But the older aspect is still there, that Olaf gains, block charges, and that reduces the damage by 75%. This is actually good if you want to, focus on team fights, or if you want somewhat sturdier escape route, okay? Let's say that someone is actually chasing you, you're using Olaf to stun them. If you go for level 16, the stun is actually very good. You can actually slow them, even slow, and you can actually run away with these. It's actually good because you're gonna preserve your other Vikings. Now Olaf feels a bit weak, I could say.
Your killing spree.
His damage isn't that good. His move speed is quite, is quite slow, I could say. And well, that's kind of the reason why I don't sympathize him that much. His movement is quite slow, but it's actually good when he slows people down. Okay, now again, against bots, this is not gonna be too much of a challenge. Let's not forget the fact that Olaf is highly capable of, regenerating his health, right? Okay, and we can actually do damage rotation. For example, we can put another Viking in here. These characters actually attack at melee if you get close to them, but you could do something else, like for example, you could use Eric. Okay, you could keep this guy busy, you could do this, and with Eric you could actually move him around. Well, there is not that much space in here, okay?
Your foes will rue this day.
Right? And well, what you could do is basically something like this. Basic attack, you let them throw a rock, you dodge, basic attack. Okay, don't get intimidated if this sounds a bit too much, like for a beginner. As I said, I've been having hundreds of hours of testing in here, so let's actually try something. Let's switch the level to 4, set level, and we're gonna do Olaf the Stout with Mercenary Lord. Okay, Mercenary Lord is a very good option and specifically if I want to focus a lot on camps, and it can give you the ability to do like literally a lot of things. Okay, let's attack him like this. Okay. Alright. Let's move them in such a way that... Okay. Now we're gonna do damage rotation, because Olaf doesn't mind some healing, right? And we keep these guys busy a bit, because if you don't take pain, don't hurt, Baylog won't heal. And if you take any of these two, which is actually good because it's a heal for your Vikings, well, the point is you won't be having the armor that this provides. Why this could be good? Because you can scale it in level 13 in something like let's say Olaf the Stout, so that he's very tanky. Mercenary Lord, I would rather take this compared to Spin to Win, Play Again, and Unkas Burning Olaf. And with this alone you should be able to solo the boss.
Enemy slain.
Okay, let's actually try to see if we can. Now you may actually as a beginner have to use the you know, the ultimate, but if you have the mercenary lord, that's not gonna matter that much, because you know, it's really not gonna matter, because it'll take him a long time to actually, you know, kill Olaf. Okay, put Eric behind, because Balog also, you know. Okay, I really don't care that much about his having been stunned, because he still takes the damage. Now if you can actually look at the damages, you'll see that well, you can actually do this. If you don't choose the mercenary lord, it would be preferable not to you know, it would be preferable not to do that. You know, start taking the boss at level 13 alone. You could try it and use your ultimate in case your Vikings get dangerously low. Usually you start, you know, with Olaf taking the damage. Also, if oh, as I was saying, you can actually take this camp alone with Olaf at level 13. That is, if annoying Arthas wouldn't actually you know, mess with things. Okay.
Well done.
Okay.
Excellent.
Let's actually try another set. Let's see, set level 13. Again, while you do this, it would be preferable that, you know, let's actually go with Olaf again. Let's see, Pain Don't Hurt, Balog the Fierce, let's say ultimate, and again this one. Jump is something that I'd rather not use. I mean, yes, it's super awesome, but again, 30 seconds, I think Hunka's Burning Olaf gives me, at least for this lower level of play, it gives me a lot more, you know, it gives me a lot more utility. Usually you hide Olaf in a bush while he regenerates his HP. Okay.
Your killing spree has ended.
Okay, now yeah, I know I fucked up in there. Okay, let's actually move these guys a bit so that the boss really doesn't. Okay. Okay, let's actually bring the fatso back. So it is capable, yes, I know. This position here is a bit more restrictive because it gives me some less space compared to other maps, but Come again, taking the boss alone at level 13, you can see it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Now, if you want a full damage build, usually that's achievable at level 16, and you would go for spy games with Eric. Either of these, it's not gonna increase necessarily your damage, but I'd rather have this because it heals Baylog and it actually helps me a lot in the initial phase. Baylog the Fierce because he attacks much faster, and these two talents, okay? Nordic Attack Squad for more damage if they are together. You can actually see the animation, and it only triggers while the three are actually together. And for example, if I move Olaf around, you'll see that these circles are no longer moving. Okay, now they are moving, so the bonus is active. Okay, and this one, if the enemy that you are attacking is slowed, rooted, or stunned, you get a 30% bonus damage against that specific target for 3 seconds. And what is not specified in here, but there was a patch to improve this, the point about this is it has been changed so that the duration, the 3 seconds duration, actually refreshes every time you hit the target that has that specific condition. Okay, so we're gonna hide Eric in here a bit so that he gets his stealth. We're gonna stun him, and if you look at the damages, you will see that the damage is very tempting. You'll be really tempted by this. However, your camp taking potential is not gonna be enhanced by too much. Okay, you're gonna stay in here. Okay.
That should teach them a lesson.
Excellent strike.
Okay, now let's actually head back to these. So at level 1 you could also use explosive attacks if you really want to farm better and push with Baylog. It's not necessarily bad, like it's actually really good, because let's actually go to level 1, set level, and let's actually choose explosive attacks, and let's actually go with this little guy. Okay, so you can see that the damage that is being dealt is really not bad. Okay, Baylog is the guy that you would be needing, you know, to push lanes in a way, because his splash damage is really good. Okay, now let's actually set the level to 4, and once we set the level to 4, we have, let's say, explosive attacks and this one. Okay, let's actually go only with this guy, only with Baylog, and you'll see that the damage is slightly bigger. It's bigger with 10 because well, we also have 4 level difference, and he has 91 damage. Okay,
Your foes will rue this day.
We are victorious.
and he also heals for like 20% of the damage he deals, which may sound very little. Okay, it's doubled against players.
Of course you need me. I'll take the lead.
It's doubled against players, yes, but the point is being doubled against players, it might sound very tempting to actually use on players, but don't forget your purpose is not necessarily to engage players. Okay,
Hurry up already.
okay, now that he was ensnared, we're gonna use the other two, or they are actually very good to body block enemies. Body blocking was a lot more annoying back then in the times when the hitboxes were a bit larger. And also back then when I would play them, the turrets had ammunition, and an annoying thing to do was to put Olaf in front of them, and when the turrets would hit him, I would know when to actually withdraw him, because he regenerates his HP by 5% per second, okay, 5% of max HP per second, and it was 10% back then, so it was much faster. Now, why this would be actually very good, it's because you would deplete in time the enemy's turrets. You know, you would deplete them of the ammunition they had, and then it was actually easy to push them away. Okay, now at level 1 we also have Viking bribery. Okay, now Viking bribery is actually good. I'm not gonna test this on this map necessarily. Okay, let's actually try it. So every time a minion dies around you, okay, Nova also has this, and if I recall, Murky also has this. So every time minions die around you, well, I think you actually have to kill them. Oh wait, actually, yeah, you don't see the stacks because you need 40 minions to have died around you. Okay,
Well done.
alright. So every time minions die around you, you don't necessarily have to kill them, so we can actually retreat to these folks, and we can actually keep this guy in here. Okay, and you'll see that minions dying around. I don't know if you are fast enough, you could have seen the, you know, the 10 increased to 11. See, 12. Okay, now the point with your Vikings is that, you know, you will have to pick okay, really now? You will have to pick the blue spheres that appear, right? Those that move, okay? Because those are the bits of experience that you need, okay? The experience is not like in League of Legends. You last hit the enemy minion and you instantly gain the experience. You don't have to last hit anything in here. You just have to be, you know, when those things die, someone has to be in almost melee range. It's almost melee, it's not necessarily melee range. I think it's just a very little bit larger, okay? So why I'm extending this video and why I'm, you know, attacking this much is that so players can actually see the numbers as they appear, okay? So many players there are that, you know, they have a great passion for the numbers because they're really interested in the numbers, okay? Now Viking bribery is the best to go. Oh, okay, 33 stacks, okay, master number. Okay, 33 is not enough. You'll need 40, okay, to instantly kill any one mercenary, okay? So the bruisers always have 4, or usually have 4. In some maps they may have 3, and the siege camp usually has 2. It may have 3 on some camps if I remember correctly, and I think it can actually be 1 on Hanamura because there is the samurai, but I think that's the siege one. And again, you can actually dodge their attacks because they hit a certain location, while you use the other 2 to simply focus the enemies, okay? Like, how you do that? You focus one with Olaf and Eric, and Baylog attacks in such a way that he splashes both, and then you just, you know, just move around. Then you also change target to the one who's higher HP, so that, you know, like, you'll kill them one way or another. Viking bribery is actually very good on huge maps like Cursed Hollow. because you have 3 lanes and it takes players quite a while to reach from, you know, to reach one place, right?
Wait, where am I going?
So yes, it will take a while for them to come, and if you want to choose that, you are gonna have to push all 3 lanes, which at the beginning of the game I really don't want, because the mid is gonna be, you know, like too packed with players, and I really don't want to focus that much on 3 lanes so that I die. I'd rather focus on the lanes when, you know, when it's time for the objective, because usually you will be focusing on 2 lanes, rarely at 3. There will always be some player who will farm 1 lane. There will always be some, you know, sneaky assassin that will run away from the team fights of the objective so that they kill your Vikings, especially Zeratul tryhards. And yeah, that kind of should cover these. Usually I would go for spy games because I want more damage, yes. Olaf is also good if you want to push. Now how I play them is I usually go with Olaf on 1 lane and with the other 2 on bot, or I could put Olaf bot and the other 2 top, it depends. So I would go for this when there are 3 you know, when there are 3 lanes. Okay, now how this E works, you simply have any Viking selected, you can actually have them all, and you know, you just click any mercenary, it's automatically used, and yes, that's it, you instantly defeat one of these. It is preferable to use when starting a camp. On Cursed Hollow, for example, you could use this you know, to farm the lanes and get 80 stacks at least, so that you can instantly kill the siege camp. And you can actually use Eric, because he's the fastest, to sneak to the bottom lane siege camp, which is very close to the enemy's gates. And especially during the objective, you can actually snatch that if the players don't do it. But come again, the problem with Viking bribery is that if you pick it, players will actually, or some players will actually take notice of it, and it's gonna be a problem because they, or some of them, especially tryhards, will focus on taking the camps, so that they make you, well, a bit more useless than you technically could be. Now the Lost Vikings are not necessarily useless, they are very weak. They are considered very weak because you technically have to do really a lot of work so that you end up with them doing good things for the team. Okay, it's not necessarily that they are weak. Yes, if any one of those dies, your potential in team fights and, you know, map awareness are both severely hindered. But come again, that's not necessarily the end of the world, thanks to the play again ultimate. Now at level 4, as I said, I usually go for Pain Don't Hurt. Other players pick Eric the Swift because Eric the Swift allows Eric to actually heal per second. Yes, indeed, interesting. It allows him to actually heal every second that he's moving. It can actually be somewhat useful because it could actually make him a bit tanky, you know, like, but you know, when you move like this, right, you can actually have Olaf tank a bit, and you can actually tank one of these, get Olaf away. Okay, stay away. Okay, now the point about this is I've got a feeling that this doesn't trigger too often. This will have to be checked on, you know, a larger map. You can actually create you know, a custom game against an elite assassin, right, a bot, if you don't have a friend that can actually help you at any given time. bots are also very good. I usually pick Falstad or Rainer, someone who, you know, hits like a truck. And why I do this is because I want to improve a lot on the, you know, the non-team fight aspects, which are what I believe the more annoying part. Why is that? Because taking camps, pushing lanes, you know, keeping an eye on the map always, this is something that's gonna be really tricky. It's a sabotage. I kind of, I don't know, I kind of never use it. I think it's the talent that I least used it. It's only good if I can actually get to push too much, and mostly you will be able to push at the beginning, and you don't know how the game will actually go on. Maybe your team will start throwing, or you have some kind of troll, or it simply doesn't go anymore, or someone's internet fails. There are a lot of things that make me understand one point, okay? And especially in the late game, if you're pushing them too hard and, you know, they only have their inner base, you know, they will easily become defensive, and it's easy to move from one lane to another and protect their forts, okay? The extra damage ain't hard, but if you run away because the enemies come and you rely on this to give the last hit and the fort explodes, if you're not in range anymore, you simply don't get the experience, or I think the experience is global for that. I really don't remember, but okay, that's not necessarily important. Mercenary Lord, as I presented, it's really good if you want to do some boss snatches, you know. If you want to take some bosses, it's not bad if the enemies actually take one or two. The point is, the further the game progresses, this actually becomes better, because you also deal more damage, and you don't need to do as much, you know, as much moving around as possible, right? You won't be needing to do as much moving around, okay, and as much damage rotation, right? Moving a Viking and putting another one so they tank. Now, level 7 talents, I would always pick Balog the Fierce, because as of what I've been testing, the DPS on one-on-one is somewhat larger with this. However, the spin to win option is also good, because in team fights, if you really want to join team fights and, you know, you want to join team fights with all three, or you actually also
Choose a talent.
have let's say Eric the Swift and spin to win, okay, you will deal quite some damage, and the spin to win thing is the more valuable indeed, the more you actually have, you know, enemies around you, okay? So if you can hit 2 or 3 enemies with all 3 Vikings, that's at least, okay, that's where you get a lot of damage, okay? But the point is, usually you will be participating in team fights with Eric only because of his range and speed, and you'll probably want Eric the Swift if you want to do specifically that, so you can easily pull him away from fights. So yeah, that's the point. You could actually use something like this, but again, spin to win, I kind of feel it's not necessarily good enough, because it deals damage twice against enemies, yes. It's also good for pushing the lanes, but again, if I can't get the full damage out of it, it's gonna feel a bit subpar, and I don't want to rely too much on, you know, abilities that I don't have full control over again, right? I don't have full control over that, because if I push, for example, 3 lanes, Balog and Eric are ranged ones, and if they are in range and I use, for example, you know, like I use spin to win here, I barely damage some of these 2 minions, right? Whereas if I just pick Balog the Fierce, they just have to stay together, and, you know, they trigger Balog's attack speed, right? And he basically has the 2.5 range, he gains it irrespective of being close to the Vikings or not, okay? That's a separate aspect, but The other part only occurs, right, the 50% attack speed only occurs when the 3 are around, and if you remember,
Choose
you
a
know,
talent.
you have,
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
so let's see,
Hurry up already!
his range is 6.5, just like Eric's, okay? It doesn't matter if he's around the other Vikings or not. We can actually take him away, and you will see his range is still 6.5. Oh, 111. Okay, another range, another master number. Okay, another angel number that I keep seeing. Okay, so the Norse force in the older times, it was their E, so basically you could have Spin to Win and Norse force at the same time. It had, I think, 30 seconds cooldown. I don't remember exactly. 15 seconds is actually very good, especially if at level 16. So you take this and, well, jump, okay, and you also have an ultimate, so you have 3 abilities, and you pick impatience is a virtue, okay.
Too fast, too curious.
Now at level 10 I would rather go always, or like 90% of the cases, for play again. Longboat is indeed a more damage oriented and team fight oriented. However, the point about the longboat is that the damage, I feel, kind of sucks. It is unstoppable, yes, it's not bad. It can actually be healed by allies, the healers, right? It can actually be shielded, and it's really not bad, but it doesn't have much HP, okay, and I don't feel really safe about that. Longbow trade can actually be very useful to save your Vikings, especially if I remember correctly, the Vikings always spawn the boat where Olaf is, so if you keep Olaf behind, you know, you have 3 Vikings, and well, let's actually push the game to level 10. Actually, let's test it. So let's see, spy games, let's actually pick this, Payload the Fierce and Longboat Raid, okay. We're gonna keep him here.
See you get this one!
So apparently I can't cast it.
Of course you need me.
Ah, okay, so it's actually gonna trigger at the location where you have the currently selected where you have your currently selected Viking. Let's see, toggle cooldowns.
Your enemies fall before you.
Okay, let's actually test this again. Actually changed the song, if I remember correctly.
My swords are sharp! Okay. It's clobbering time!
Okay, so where you have your currently selected one is where your okay, so that's where your Vikings will actually pop in. Let's actually try again, just to be sure.
Of course you need me.
Yes. Back in the times, if I remember correctly, they would only spawn on Olaf's location, so...
That was rather entertaining.
But still, I would prefer the play again, because it allows me to save any Viking. It allows me different plays, in which I can save Vikings from a lane that I'm you know, specifically pushing, like I'm explicitly pushing, so that I draw enemy attention and I can actually save them. Or if any Vikings happen to die, even if I don't get to save them and, you know, deny the enemy the kill, I still get to
Eric here.
I'm a hungry man that name a turkey.
I still handle the situation, you know, by just
Hard up on the haven rabbit hole!
Show no mercy.
I can still handle the situation, okay?
Enjoy Valhalla.
So all these being said, okay, let's actually go to level 13. I almost always go for Hunka's Burning Olaf. Oh yes, and I forgot the boat doesn't allow, I think, let's actually see one thing that I remember, and I also saw here. Olaf cannot regenerate while on the boat, so if you use the boat to save him and the enemies break the boat, he respawns with the with the HP he had, and you also get stunned for 1 second if the boat is destroyed. Okay, I mean destroyed by the enemies before its duration ended. At level 13 I almost always pick Hunka's Burning Olaf, because that allows Olaf to deal damage to all the enemies around, okay, including minions. He can easily push lanes very well, and I also have Balog who pushes lanes very well. If I have the level 4 Mercenary Lord, okay, this one, I can actually take the Bruiser camp alone, with just Olaf alone. Okay.
Of course you need.
You've impressed me, hero.
Wait, where am I?
Alright. So yeah. Level 13 jump is very good if you have a lot of mages that play against you, if there is a lot of burst. If you have a Kel'Thas that has the Pyroblast ultimate, or I don't know the name, the fireball that moves slowly towards you, or if he uses that burn ability that simply switches from one to another. There are many ways you can actually use jump to run away from different situations. If at least one of your Vikings is not stunned, all other Vikings are, they are saved from stun. So that's a good point to remember, okay? You can have 2 Vikings stunned, and
A killing blow.
suddenly you can use jump and all of them are removed from stuns. That's good. Most likely that's gonna be helpful against how can I call it? Oh yes, long stuns, okay, like ETC's ultimate, for example, and you keep one Viking away and you use your jump. It should actually free you from that guy's ultimate. Okay, now Nordic Attack Squad, I usually pick this up because sooner or later you're gonna have to join team fights with the Vikings, and the range on them is actually big, yes. What you could do is you could keep Olaf somewhat at a distance, okay, and like you could actually use these folks, right, something like this. Then you can actually jump him in.
An excellent strike.
Now it doesn't mean that you can easily kill each and every Arthas, okay, this is just a bot, so don't take into account. Usually if you pick this, okay, and let's actually move to level 16, and this, okay, as I've presented the ability earlier, you can easily melt tanks, like Olaf can only charge from quite a small distance. You can easily melt tanks because you're dealing percentage damage, okay, based of this ability, this one, 1.25% of max health. At level 16 I usually prefer Impatience is a Virtue. Let's actually see the numbers. Okay, set level 16. And
Choose a
let's
talent.
go for
Choose a
Olaf.
talent.
Let's take
Choose
it
a
to
talent.
sabotage because I haven't
Choose a
been using it.
talent.
Play
Choose a
again.
Choose a talent.
This one and this one. Let's actually use our ultimate. Okay, and we have this one. Oh wait, I actually have the cooldowns.
Your enemies fall before you.
Okay. So basic attacking actually reduces, yes I know, but with Balog's 50% attack speed there's really not much of a difference. Uh, I'm always amused by Olaf's belly attack. I just have the impression that it really inflates a lot, like okay, so that's usually what I go for, okay? This is actually a very cute one.
Choose a talent.
The
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
um,
Choose a talent.
okay,
Choose a talent.
faster marathon. Let's actually see toggle cooldowns.
Show no mercy.
Okay, when you use the run ability, make sure that you have them in this line when you run, because Olaf is large and he can actually slow the other two down, and Balog as well. If you use Balog and the other one, make sure that Eric is first, because when you run you definitely want to make sure that Eric is not slowed down by Balog, okay? And let's see, set level. I could actually go for this, Eric the Swift,
Choose a talent.
this
Choose a talent. Choose
this
a
one
talent.
and this one, to have Eric be, you know, like as fast as the Ferrari. Okay.
An
All right.
excellent strike.
Say hi to Freya for me.
And Executioner, again, if you want to go for a full damage build, which I usually go, because I know that sooner or later I will have to join team fights, and if the enemies are still doing good without me, that's okay. But helping from time to time, you know, just collecting someone, just dealing that little damage while pushing the lane with Olaf, and you know, popping into the fight with Eric only, or Balog as well if you chose this, because now he has increased range, so he's not that you know, he's not that exposed. Okay, this one is actually one that I use the least. Now Largen in charge is actually really good. Let's actually use this, and let's go for this, play again,
Choose a talent.
this one, and Largen in charge. Okay, now Largen in charge stuns the enemy, and
Dashing through the foes.
okay, so technically the 3 seconds slow that triggers from Olaf's charge.
The large and bearded.
Okay, it slows them for 3 seconds, and I think the stun also takes 1 second of that slowed. I'm not sure if the slow triggers after the stun or it triggers alongside the stun, but still stun is real good because you can actually use that to stop one of those very powerful wait, what the heck? Ah, okay, because of toggle cooldowns. Yes. Didn't know why I was like constantly stunning Arthas. Like, okay, that would have been really, that would have been a bit broken in PvP.
Here's rocks in your eye. Of course you need me.
Okay,
I'll take the lead.
the bot seems not too interested in, you know, focusing anyone else but Olaf. Okay. One other thing you could do is, you know, use Eric and or Baylog to basic attack someone, you know, on a mount, so that you
Enough of your beating.
you dismount them.
Just like making goat cheese.
Okay, so the timer is not there.
I'm hungry, magically turkey.
Enemy slain.
I wonder if there's a way I can see how long till the next stun. But again, if you pick this one, you won't be able to deal the bonus damage from hitting disabled enemies, which I want people to understand. It's really tempting, yes, but it's not something that you should really focus on. Okay, so large and in charge. Okay, level 20, Ragnarok and Troll, as I call it. It sounds very good on paper, but again, I'm not much of a fan of the longbows. It actually deals much more damage. Yes, it can be used to save the Vikings. You know, it now spawns the location of the currently selected Viking. However, as I said, I'm not truly a fan of the longbow. It's not weak, but you know, as a means of teamfights, yes, it is good. But its prowess, its power, okay, is represented, you know, like it becomes more powerful the more Vikings you have. So at the same time, it kind of forces you to have all 3 Vikings at once, and most likely you would want to push lanes with at least 2 others, okay? Checkpoint reached. This is something that I kind of haven't understood its purpose. I mean, I only tried it a few times. Let's say this one, let's say this. Let's go for this one and this one.
Wanted to do that. My swords are sharp. Let's see you catch this one.
Your foes will rule
Okay,
this day.
so let's actually check this again, because it says any Vikings are revived and summoned again. Yes, after 10 seconds. So
What you need?
Your killing
Okay.
spree has ended.
so I'm gonna summon the
Rise again
Vikings
and take your
again,
revenge, hero.
and the stone is gonna remain in there.
You have been slain. A killing blow.
Okay, so no teleportation occurs. Okay,
Time.
no teleportation occurs. Let's actually check it with toggle cooldowns, because I'm really curious how it would work. Okay, let's actually use this.
Enemy slain. The enemy's fort crumbles into dust. Your deeds shall be remembered.
Okay, so wait, and all are healed to full. Okay, it could actually be good. Okay, but the enemies can just stay in there and, you know, you can actually use it once, just like Murky's egg. You can join a team fight, you can withdraw, cast it again, you go back into the team fight, and if they die, they all gonna spawn back. But make sure you're not gonna use it in the middle, okay? Like, you're not gonna use it in the middle of the team fight, okay? Like, when your Viking spawn, they will be easily killed, so you feed the team instead, okay? The sequel is actually very tempting. It reduces the timers, you know, the death timers by 50%, but again, if the enemies are very good and they just ruffle stomp you, coming back faster, it's not necessarily the best thing to do, especially if you can't leave base. So be a bit mindful of this. At level 20 usually go for Fury of the Storm. It's kind of the only talent that people pick. And yes, these being said, it's kind of enough. Like, hopefully I've covered the talents quite well. Strategies, I can't actually give too many, at least not now, because I don't want to prolong this video too much. Hopefully you've liked this video. Hopefully I also showed enough numbers. And one way that I actually improved on the Vikings is play a lot of these customs, not just to kill bots or something like that, you know, but more so that I can learn, you know, like how the numbers flow, how much damage I do. And again, you can also see in team fights which characters you can kill. Sometimes you can meet a lot of weaker players, you know, like less experienced players with a certain character, and, you know, gain a false impression that you're actually gonna kill them, and, you know, you're suddenly gonna find out that, hey, you're gonna meet someone later on, you know, who kind of beats you, you know, and you're gonna be like, hey, but oh, I can actually pick an enemy. Oh, I didn't know about this. Oh, well, that's actually cool.
Your enemies
Oh,
are
toggle
falling.
cooldown. Whoops. That's actually OP to play with toggle cooldowns.
Killing spree.
My swords are sharp. Right away.
Enemy slain.
You can deal quite some damage, yes. The 3 Vikings together deal some damage, but don't underestimate them, okay? Don't actually, yes, don't underestimate them, but also don't overestimate them, okay?
You've impressed me, hero.
Who knew I was this good at fighting?
I always love this quote.
Is this real life?
Not on your feet. I hope you have directions. Hello.
That should teach them a lesson.
Your foes will rue this day.
Okay.
That one was for my daughter Gerda.
Level 20, it's easy to kill certain boss. Now I'm actually...
You need some tenderizing. Will you get me down here anyway? For swords! Get fjords! What you need? My swords are sharp.
What the heck have I been doing? Okay, I slipped my controls. Okay, my control slipped. I just pressed on something and
I've never seen such impressive graphics.
I think I pressed W or something instead of 2 or something. Usually go for Fury of the Storm. Okay, so all this being said, hopefully you like this video. Hopefully you find this a bit, you know, introductory, I could speak. Other than that, you can actually see some of my videos with me playing the Vikings. I'm actually gonna throw one pretty
A
soon.
killing blow.
So all this being said, hopefully you found this informative. Just practice them. They're not one of the easiest champions to learn. I love doing this. It actually stuns enemies, and seeing all the three Vikings stunned at the same time is actually good. It actually feels funny. So, oh, okay, 10-10, good. It actually played for a whole hour. Okay, 10-10, an hour of progress and spiritual alignment. So all this being said, I'm gonna end this video now, and I'm gonna throw a quick match. So have fun, enjoy, and all these being said, you are loved and appreciated. Keep becoming more introspective. Feel free to like and subscribe if you like the type of content I'm creating. I will also be posting from time to time several, the Lost Vikings games. Well, hopefully I won't appear as flooding YouTube with that, but everyone posts whatever they want. So I'm gonna throw a quick match. All this being said, take care, and well, fair engine.